Well, you know, it's one thing to see this on TV. It's so different to be here in person because you hear the clippity-clop of the horses' hooves. You can almost feel the military band. It's not all that far away from me right now, but the whole atmosphere just kind of envelops you. And when the Queen came out on the balcony and you could hear the crowd erupt, it really brought that moment home. And what strikes you is not just that this is a completely different Trooping the Color, the Queen taking the salute on the balcony behind me, the parade, as Keir said rightly, coming to her at the age of 96, but also just how long she's been in this role, not just as the Queen, but as a public figure, as a high-ranking member of the royal family, as heir to the throne. Her very first solo royal engagement, guys, was at 16 years old. It was on her 16th birthday, and she was out observing the troops, performing that role, that military role that is so much a part of being a member of the royal family, observing the troops on her 16th birthday on her own in 1942. And here she is 80 years later, standing on that balcony, and once again, now performing the role of Commander-in-Chief. Yeah, it's something that really is special to be here in person, to feel it, to see it, and to see Her Majesty up there on that balcony.
All right, Kelly, you know who also is in attendance there, our own Stephanie Gosk. She's made her way to London. Steph, where is it from your point of view?
Oh, it's terrific, Hoda. The pageantry, the ceremony. I mean, this is what we expect from the royal family. This is what we love to see in the United States. But it's also important to remember that the Queen has a practical role as well, and has throughout history. And just to tick off a few of the pretty remarkable things that she's done, essentially as chief diplomat for this country. In the 60s, she visited Germany at the end of a very painful reconciliation process after World War II. And then in the 80s, she went to China, the first British monarch to go to China. And in the 90s, she went to Russia, Boris Yeltsin's invitation, and that was in, at the time, the rubble of the Soviet Union. So she has much more than just this role, and as you were talking about earlier, the fact that she was thrust into that job in her mid-20s, age 25. Back to you guys.
All right, Stephanie, thank you. I actually, as I'm sitting here and reflecting on it, she was not even born to be queen. In fact, it was her uncle who abdicated to marry American Wallace Simpson. Yes, I watched The Crown too. And at that point, she became heir to the throne at just age 10. And later, when her father died unexpectedly, here she did, young Elizabeth, just having been married, became queen. And you can, as Stephanie remarked, you can really trace history through her, Wilfred.
You can, and I think, you know, there's all these different articles that have come out saying, look at the way the world's changed since 1952. I think the way it's changed most of all, particularly in the UK, it's a more liberal place and a more merit-based place than it was when she came to throne. And yet, she probably represents more than anybody on earth the opposite of that, and yet has this 85% approval rating. You can't do that unless you manage to adapt with the times, unless you personally perform your duty as well as she has. Imagine having any job for 70 years.
Wow.
Unbelievable.
And briefly, in the few moments we have, she's also in recent years had to tackle some fairly thorny family issues and has done so with grace.
With great grace, and on top of that, I would say has tackled the pandemic. You know, the snapshot of her on her own, abiding the rules, to now today. It is a great contrast to see.
Wilfred of Sky News, thank you for being with us. We appreciate you.
I still remember you at CNBC with Sky News.
Back in the old days.
Importantly today, NBC contributor. Thanks for having me.
Our coverage continues. Much more from the Platinum Jubilee. These events unfold live all morning. We will be here. The grand military flyover, the balcony appearance of all the working royals. This has been an NBC News special report. Still to come. And good morning, everybody. Welcome back. It is today on a special Thursday morning, and there she goes, Queen Elizabeth, having greeted the military, the pomp, the circumstance, the trooping of the colors, as they call it in London, as the festivities that will last 4 days get underway. The Queen's Platinum Jubilee, honoring her 70 years on the throne.
We just got to see her. That was kind of a great moment because everyone was wondering, is she going to come out? When are we going to see her? She came out right at 7:20. She looked great in that light blue. We can't wait as the events unfold today.
And there are going to be events over several days, but just in the next hour or so, we're expecting to see the Queen again. At that point, the other working royals will come out and appear with her for that iconic balcony shot. There'll be a flyover or fly past, as they say in the Queen's English. So we'll continue to keep our eye on London.
Indeed.
Back to Buckingham in just a few moments.
Yeah, let's get our headline 7:30, and we're going to begin with a breakthrough treatment for pancreatic cancer. The research was published just yesterday in the New England Journal of Medicine. In a new experiment, a woman with advanced pancreatic cancer.
If you love milk, this is your next milk.
From NBC News, this is a special report. Here's Savannah Guthrie and Hoda Kotb.
Look at that sight. We're back on the air from coast to coast with more of this morning's dazzling start to the Queen's Platinum Jubilee. Just this image, Savannah, is pretty incredible, right?
Just look at it. Thousands, tens upon thousands crowding in to catch just a glimpse of the royal family who moments from now will go back to that balcony. We saw the Queen just a moment ago with her first cousin, but we'll see the whole family, the whole working royal family, take that place right there in just a few minutes. This morning we had the Trooping of the Color Parade, and we saw the young royals. We saw, the whole...
Yeah, and what's interesting about this image right now, all of these people were lined on the streets. Wilfred Frost is right here at the table with us. He's with Sky News. So they sort of opened up the floodgates and allowed everyone to start streaming through.
Yeah, so the street there, the Mall, was empty for the horse parade, for the cavalry parade, and I guess these guys all must have been waiting down at Trafalgar Square until they opened the gates to come in. And what is so great about the next appearance of Her Majesty that didn't happen in the last one, the people are close to her. And of course, this is a weekend of celebration for her, but it's really also so she can see the people show their appreciation for her. And that's what I can't wait to see when she comes out, the cheers, the thanks that the people will be able to show towards her and her family, but mainly towards her.
Let's bring in Keir Simmons. Keir's been rubbing elbows with all the folks in the crowd in London this morning. I'm sure they're heading that way. Hey, Keir.
Hey, Hoda, and actually we've jumped up now to be able to show you this crowd. Oh, look at that. There's Her Majesty coming out once again to this wave of people, waving and cheering and celebrating. Just an ocean, a tidal wave of folks who want to pay their respects to her. Look at that smile.
Let's listen for a moment here. Shot on the occasion of 70 years on the throne. Queen Elizabeth surveys the throngs of her subjects who have come to pay her tribute, to honor her. The royal family, the working royals, all assembled there from all ages, and in the littlest royal there for a moment looking a little bored.
Yeah, we've got 17 members of the royal family there. Louis, I think, was front and center. I'm just always amazed just at how well behaved Wilfred the kids are in a moment like this.
How well behaved, but everyone everyone's obviously on best behavior not to steal Her Majesty's thunder, but the young ones always have a cheeky little attempt at that, don't they? And Prince Louis there looking adorable as ever.
You've been waiting for this moment. You were saying the Queen finally seeing the throngs of people. We're actually seeing some beautiful shots of her as the flyover happens.
I think this is what it's all about, and there'll be more moments like this, some with a little less pomp and ceremony to come, but this is what this weekend is about. Yes, it's about celebration, a 4-day weekend of national celebration, but it's really about the country having a chance to come and show their thanks and respect to the Queen. I think that was a chance of the crowd impromptu arranging a 3 cheers there. Hip, hip, hooray for the Queen. There'll be lots of singing of the national anthem throughout the weekend. We've heard it already. The weekend will end with that, with a group of national treasures singing the national anthem. And of course, here now starts the military flyover as well, which the Royal Air Force always does very beautifully, and creates that kind of focal point for why they're out there on the balcony and why those people there. There's Prince Louis as well. Charlotte behaving herself. She stole the show at Harry and Meghan's wedding. Now it's Louis' turn.
And they're all color coordinated this morning, matching the Queen's powder blue. This military fly past, as they say in England, flyover will feature 70 planes. There are several waves of it, so quite the air show above as the Queen looks above and below and sees her adoring fans.
And I think also looks really well and healthy. You know, we've heard of these mobility issues. She wasn't able to do the Queen's speech a month ago. She didn't personally inspect the cavalry procession about an hour and a half ago, but she's got a busy 4 days ahead, and I think she looks great, which is wonderful to see.
This is obviously a tremendous moment for the Queen, but also for Charles, who is directly to her right. This is also a moment for him, isn't it?
No doubt about it, and I think we've seen in recent weeks, including when he gave the Queen's speech, him being more involved and stepping up to help out where necessary. But I don't think anything really prepares you for this job, and that will be a binary moment whenever it arrives, hopefully many years from now. And of course, Prince William's family, the other side immediately, the immediate line of the throne, and the rest of the working royals.
Little Louis doesn't know it, but he is launching 1,000 memes right now.
You're right.
He's acting like the toddler he is.
And don't you kind of wish that you knew what Kate was saying to him? Keeps whispering things to him. And
I think all moms know exactly what she's saying.
It's going to be something, you know, you're going to get a Mars bar if you behave, but just keep behaving, something along those lines. And I do think we forget those actual moments. These are ultimately a simple family. That is a grandmother next to her grandchildren and grandchildren. I've been next to some of them in the past when they just tell stories about Granny, and you have to check yourself to realize that Granny is, of course, the most famous lady in the world. But bottom line, they are a sweet family. She's going to get to meet, of course, one of her new great-grandchildren this week for the first time.
A great smile from the Queen as she looks at the air show that continues to unfold above. Let's go to NBC's Kelly Kobiea. She's on the ground there outside the gates of Buckingham Palace, and we heard those throngs of people cheering. Kelly, set the scene for us.
You could hear a big hip, hip, hooray going out for the Queen as she stood there on the balcony with the rest of the royal family. But boy, I tell you what, guys, I can really identify with Prince Louis right now because it is incredibly loud when you hear some of these planes fly over, and you could see him once again stealing the show, just like he did back in 2019 when you saw him in his balcony debut, kind of wriggling in his mother, the Duchess of Cambridge's arms, and waving the entire time. And now, you know, you see the entire royal family just taking in this moment, taking in the great parade in the skies put on by the RAF. And just remember, I mean, this hasn't happened since 2019. Yes, we're talking about a platinum jubilee today, so it is a supersized trooping of the color, but the trooping has actually been a very small, quiet affair for the past 2 years because of the pandemic. So for the first time, you're seeing these amazing aircraft flying really low over Buckingham Palace, and you can hear them, you can feel them. The entire crowd gets to enjoy that, as well as the royal family.
We want to turn now to Daisy McAndrew, NBC royal commentator, royal watcher, and she often sees things that we don't in these images, and now we see the working royal family assembled. Daisy, what are your thoughts?
Well, so many thoughts, but just picking up, I mean, everybody's been talking about Louis, haven't
today, but picking up on that, the little sailor suit that Louis's wearing, we think is actually a hand-me-down from his father, which his father wore to a Trooping the Colour in 1985. So that's Prince William. And it's what I was saying earlier, there's this sense of continuity. Standing behind Louis, of course, is Kate. She's wearing sapphire and diamond earrings that were Princess Diana's. It's another sense of continuity. It's probably rather rude to call it hand-me-down. If you're a member of the royal family, it's probably more an heirloom than a hand-me-down. But even some of the other royals, you know, Sophie Wessex's daughter was wearing a hat that she had worn to Trooping the Colours. So I think there might be a little message in there saying, you know, we are being quite frugal as a royal family, and we're handing the kids' clothes down to each other. I have no idea if you can hear me, but there is incredibly noisy fly-past, but it is really exciting.
Yeah, Daisy, we can hear you loud and clearly, actually, and this is a moment for the royal family, but it's really a moment for the Queen. You've followed the Queen for many, many years, and here she is in this moment where she's facing all of the throngs of just all the love she's getting from the folks in the crowd. Tell us what you're observing in this moment for her.
I think she's incredibly proud to be there presenting her family. I mean, one of the things I was thinking about, again, looking at the younger royals today and how they are getting so much attention, one of the few people alive today who's been to a Jubilee in this country that wasn't one of her many Jubilees is Her Majesty. When she was not much older than Charlotte and George and Louis, just a little girl herself in 1935, she went to her grandfather's silver Jubilee, and now here she is at her own platinum Jubilee with her grandchildren and her great-grandchildren.
I don't know if you caught that.
Look at little Louis.
Daisy, the Jets were in formation, a perfect 70, a nice touch that brought a smile to the Queen's face, and little Louis making all the faces.
By the way, you're right about the memes. You're right about the memes. There'll be a million of them.
I also just think she's being so graceful about this. She doesn't ever seek the glory. She's not the one waving or seeking the praise. A lot of praise is being thrown, praise and thanks her way by the people, no doubt, but she's always so noble with it, and I think we're seeing that from pretty much everyone there, apart from a couple of the younger ones who we encourage to be cheeky, of course. But it's again the family coming together, embodying the sort of sense of duty and respect that she's lived her life and reign displaying.
And we hear those spontaneous cheers rise up again as the Queen gives the royal wave.
Just a little wave is enough to definitely get the crowd going again. I'm sure Daisy and Co can report on the extra cheers. And also, as Daisy was mentioning there, look how elegant as well and beautiful both Camilla and Kate look. And now I think we've got the national anthem playing there in the background as well.
Keir Simmons is on the ground. He's with the folks who are assembled there, who were just moments ago actually let in to try to get that better view of this iconic balcony shot. And Keir, this is a moment of great patriotism, I imagine.
It really is. You know, the throngs of people behind us here who you can hear cheering because they hear those in front of them cheering, and it kind of follows through like a wave in the crowd. They can't see the Queen from here. They can't see the balcony, but they still want to be here because it's about sending a message to Her Majesty. It isn't for them, it's for her. And then as we've been standing here, that amazing flyover has been coming right down the mall, right above us. So people have been turning and taking pictures. We saw that perfect 70 in the sky above us as it flew over. So I think for people here, and you just see those pictures, just enormous numbers of people, I think for them it's just a chance to say that they were here at a moment of history. They'll probably go home and watch the pictures on the television and get a better view than they actually had here. But it doesn't matter, because this is about so much more than your individual experience. It's about a collective experience. It's about saying thank you to Her Majesty. It's about being here for history, and I think it's about sending a message, a message about Britain, about unity, and about how much people still have pride in this institution despite all of the challenges.
Yeah, that's truly the sense that you get. We watched the entire royal family after waving on the balcony, heading back inside here. I was just curious, like, what happens? What are all these people going to be doing? Because there are thousands of people people who wanted a glimpse or wanted a check.
Hitting the pub.
Is it a pub thing? Is that what happens next?
Well, we were talking about that earlier. There's one way to get better public approving. It's to 4-day weekend and open the pub house. But you see, that is what's going to happen now. There'll be lunch parties, there's a concert coming, people will pile into the pubs and enjoy this long weekend for a moment of celebration. But what this weekend is really about is these moments.
Yeah.
Because you need a reason for why you're celebrating, and we're celebrating her reign, the way she's lived it with such great duty, and the chance these moments people want to turn out to start the weekend, to start each day with that service of thanksgiving, to sing the national anthem at the end of it on Sunday, to make sure that she gets a sense of how grateful the nation is to her.
And in the moments we have left, we think of royals, we think of palaces, we think of fancy clothes. Yeah. For her, at the age of 26 years old, to have to take the throne, it also was an act of sacrifice. Her life, her personal life, now subject to and second to the duties of the crown.
Absolutely, a commitment to deliver for her people for her entire life, which she continues to do today. And as we're seeing, despite her old age, wanting to be there throughout.
Wilfred, thank you. You add a little bit of something special to this coverage. Thank you so much.
To all of our royal commentators and our correspondents with their lucky seats in London. What a beautiful shot. Gorgeous weather. What a day. 70 years on the throne. The Queen's Platinum Jubilee underway now for the next 4 days. We'll have more coverage throughout the morning here on Today, MSNBC, and NBC News Now. For the moment, this has been an NBC News special report. And we're back on Today with more of our Platinum Jubilee coverage. We just saw it, the shot everyone was waiting for.
I'm in such a good mood. I mean, I feel like the world needed a party, and this is a beautiful party. We got to see the Queen herself and the royal family. We watched the flyover, which was pretty incredible. We saw a lot of smiles from the Queen. That image right there of the 70 flyover was pretty amazing. We're going to have a lot more on this morning's events, and we'll be watching more in the days ahead.
To the clear delight of the royals there, save maybe the 4-year-old right there who reminds us of all 4-year-old boys everywhere. We will continue more with what we'll be watching in the days ahead. We're back right after this.
There is no perfect, only